So let's see, let's have a big hand for it. Now you're going to remain unnamed, private, because you're going to be on the internet, and there's probably some wacky Russian hacker. If you give your name and your face, they'll empty your bank account and do something awful to your credit card or something like that. So we'll just introduce you as Miss X.
Miss X, all right.
There's Mr. X?
Yeah, Mr. X.
So you want to say hi to everybody out there?
Hello.
And now,
Hello.
have you watched any of my videos?
Oh, yes, many.
And did you find them useful?
Yes, very
Okay,
helpful.
so this is your contribution back to the group.
Okay.
You say, you watched all those other poor people that in their poor gowns and
no makeup and
no makeup, and in the middle of the morning I had to struggle out of bed at 5 in the morning. And all right, so with all that, but here you are, willing to give back.
Yes,
you're nice
yes,
enough, and you have some special issues, right?
Yes, I had the band, lap band, put in about probably 8 years ago. Couldn't find the papers on when it actually was, but and I lost about 75 pounds.
Which is good, right?
Which was good. It didn't take me where I wanted. I could have lost another 20, 25 pounds and been happier. But, and then through the years, I found that sugar does go through the band easily, and that's my weakness.
Well, now, see, now here's what you said. You didn't blame the lap band. You blamed you, which is, I think, this is us. We're good, strong Americans. You know, we're not crybabies. You know, we're tough. I think that's our country is a good, strong country. And so here you have a therapy which I'm kind of critical of. I'm kind of critical of the lap band. I think it allows in sugar.
Yes, it does.
And you said...
I did. Oh.
You kind of took the blame for it, you know? And I don't think you should. And so for people who are watching out there, imagine that there's somebody out there in Connecticut or New York or Maine or anywhere, and they're struggling with their lap band.
Yes.
I jumped in to interrupt you, and I apologize because I do that a lot. But
yeah, the lap band does allow sugar to go through.
Yeah, and I don't think that's you. I don't think you're a bad person. And again, I don't think the lap band people are bad. I just think that the lap band, which is a good idea, the idea is let's put a little piece of plastic in there to partially block you. It doesn't work perfectly. It leaves behind this opportunity so that a smoothie or ice cream or potato chips can go through. And so that means that your body's desire to be overweight is stronger than the lap band, and I don't think it's your fault.
Good.
And I would like to say that to the people. No, you don't have, but I think we should, I want to tell somebody, if they're listening this morning and you have a lap band and you've got trouble, I'm not sure that we need to blame you. I don't think we should blame the patient. And I'm not sure the lap band needs anybody blame. I just want to say to the lap band person, don't feel bad about that. The lap band lets you eat sugar.
Yes, it does.
It kind of even trains you to eat sugar, because if you eat broccoli, what happens?
I have to grind everything. It comes back up. If I try to eat something healthy, you know, chicken or something, I have to grind it to like dog food to get it to even try to get a little bit down.
Right.
And anything, and I chew. I try to chew it. I try.
You've been to the doctor and they said you're not chewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, to our people who are listening, they're going to go to their doctor with their band throwing up, and the doctor's going to tell them, this is what I hear all the time, well, it's just a tool.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it's a tool.
You've heard that? It's
yes,
just a tool.
many times. Right. It's a tool, and you're supposed to be able to, you know.
One of my patients, a lap band patient, was an attorney from Canada, and she went to the doc. She flew from the western part of Canada to Toronto, and she said she was told it was a tool so many times she was going to jump up and down. It was the first time I think anybody's actually cursed in my clinic.
Oh, really?
She was pretty angry about the doctor telling her it was a tool. She said, "Don't tell me that again. I'm throwing up."
Yeah. So I've spent the last 8-9 years just throwing up anything healthy because it gets stuck right here, and it does hurt. And it hurts in the chest area, it hurts in the back, and yes, and you get to the point that after a half hour or so, and you know it's not going down.
It's got to come out.
It's got to come out.
Yeah.
And
so you've been there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
she's not just making up a story then.
No.
You've lived it.
My whole family could hear me go to the bathroom, and they all sitting in the dining room.
Yes.
And they said, "But how are you doing this? It's true."
And you said you had it for how many years?
I think about 8 years.
And how long?
I had it for 3 years.
Yeah. That's a lot of vomits.
Yeah. At one point, the band seemed to tighten itself. I know they say it doesn't do that, but it got to the point where I couldn't even drink water.
Right.
So they went in. She checked my esophagus, which was totally
dilated,
burned,
right.
Inflamed. They took out all the saline.
Right.
And then within about a matter of weeks, I had gained 50 pounds back.
Right.
And then I went back and had half the saline put back in, which still doesn't allow me to eat regular foods in anything normal consistency. And then I've been able to lose about 20 of what I gained from that time. But you do find that two things: your brain finally says, I can eat, so you're going to go find, suddenly you can eat again. It's like, oh. And also I do believe that once you go into that starvation mode, your body goes into that starvation mode, and it is going to glom onto every calorie once you are able to eat again.
Right.
So between those two things, it was just a battle that I couldn't win. And so the band has kept me from weighing 300 pounds, which I think I would have by now. And it also allowed me to not go in for a Roux-en-Y or one of the other surgeries.
It acts as a bridge to get you here.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. And that's what I feel. That
because Roux-en-Y, as much as we criticize the lap band, it's easy to take out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And is the Roux-en-Y, which is more powerful, most people say, the problem is it's kind of a dead end as far as fiddling around with it. So.
You're done. At that point, I have a cousin who had the Roux-en-Y, and she has now gained all of her weight back. She's looking for options of what to do, and I don't know that there are any. So.
And my opinion, I'm obviously biased, is that there are not any real safe ones. Not any real effective ones.
So for that reason, I'm grateful that I had the band at that time rather than the stronger Roux-en-Y. But I'm also.
You're ready to move up to the Cadillac of surgery.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. That's why I'm here.
There you go. The Mercedes, the BMW.
Oh, I need one of those too.
Right.
Put that on the list, will you?
Question, now what about the wacky clinic? Are you okay with being in a crowd like that, talking in front of people and all that stuff?
Fine.
You're okay
Clinic's
with that?
fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And,
we live with this. Our weight issues are so out there anyway. It's not like we can hide it. So.
Well, the other thing, though, we have to ask, I think, is that the United States has a very strong law and policy that your health care is private.
Privacy, yes.
And so my bias is, as you say, that there's an advantage to talking about it. I think I saw her face light up when you said of the trouble you were having with the band. She was like, yeah. And, I think a lot of our band patients, a lot of our heavy patients have felt there's something wrong with me. If I could only do better, maybe I should have chewed more on this or something like that. And so there's a real advantage to talking about things. The other thing is you have people who say, gee, maybe I should have a lap band. And there's, again, nothing wrong with that decision, but having a chance to listen to somebody talking about your experience, maybe that helps them make a decision. So we like what we call the transparency, that is talking about things in public. And like we have a lot of videos of our operations online, and I'm going to Austria.
Yes, we read that.
And Paris purely for work purposes. But I send over the videos to the surgeons there. I'm going to operate with them, and so I think again everything we do is we try and do it out in the open if we can, within limits. We had a patient here not long ago who asked for privacy and said she didn't feel comfortable talking in front of the group and things like that. She actually had a real tragedy in her family that she just didn't want to have her face on the internet, and so we certainly went with that. We had a lady one time who actually worked for social services in Los Angeles County, and she talked about how she would go out to houses, where there were people taking crack, and there'd be children just not being taken care of, and she would take them to protect them from being in a crack house. And the families get angry. They think, this is awful and that they should keep, so they get angry at her. They're not angry at themselves for leaving a baby without a diaper and awful things. So she asked appropriately, you know, can we just keep that private? And we said, of course. So, but you're kind, and we appreciate that, and you're okay with it.
Yes.
How about a comment from the boss? Are you okay with all this talking in a public group and the wacky clinic yesterday and everything?
Yes, I thought it was helpful.
You're okay with
You
it?
got to see the full, kind of a full range of spectrum of what happened.
I think
after
so,
surgery
yeah.
And the results, so it was good.
Leftover questions? Anything else that you and I should talk about?
Well, it's not a big thing. Well, it would be a big thing. The hair loss thing. And I've read that zinc helps, and certainly an amount of protein. And
Yeah, probably the most important thing is Rogaine.
Okay.
Okay, and now let me tell you that in my past, I was a regular general surgeon. I used to do kidney transplants. And when your kidneys fail, you start to get high blood pressure, and oftentimes the high blood pressure is hard to control, so that we were using some experimental drugs at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill where I worked. And one of the little boys on my ward who was going to get a kidney transplant got introduced to me, and he looked like a werewolf. His hairline was down, he had a big widow's peak, he had great big bushy eyebrows, he had sideburns, he had a beard.
As a little
he
boy?
had a little boy, he's like 7. He had hair on the back of his hands, both hands like this, hairy, hair coming up out of his shirt. He was on a new experimental drug for blood pressure called minoxidil. Minoxidil is the active drug in Rogaine.
Okay. Gotta get some.
That stuff will flat grow hair.
Okay.
Now, they make it very dilute. They make it dilute because they don't want you to get it on your hands because you're going to be sprouting hair.
Could be a problem.
Yeah, and that's why the women's concentration is about half of the men's.
Oh, okay.
So I would never tell you to to use the men's concentration.
With gloves.
That stuff is strong. Yeah. Now there are 2 kinds of Rogaine you can buy at the grocery store. One is the proprietary Rogaine, and the other is the generic.
Okay.
The generic comes in kind of a base liquid that can sometimes bother your scalp and cause it to break out a little bit. So if the inexpensive stuff bothers your scalp, you might try the more expensive one. Whatever you do, don't use the men's version.
Okay. I won't.
Other questions?
You know, I had some others, but I've totally forgotten them, so I'll.
Well, if you remember, you can holler them out
All
from
right.
the peanut gallery after your video.
Okay.
Okay, everybody? Yay!
Thank you very much.
Thank you.